Warning, this episode contains mild to heavy explicit spoilers. Listen at your own risk.
Reviews, discussions, and theories about films in horror, sci-fi, and genre. This is the Horror Deconstruction. Like, share, and subscribe to hear more.
What's up? We are totally bum rushing into this episode. It's your boy KOMP and
DECKARD.
And we're talking about 2023. The year that was it promising? Was it disappointing for you? Did it mean anything to you? What did 2023 mean to you, DECKARD?
I mean, it was a little disappointing in certain ways. I mean,
Okay.
the year started off right because of we went into this feels like 3 years ago, but Avatar: The Way of Water.
That's right. Oh my god.
Late December, but then obviously that goes into the new year because the movie was still pretty popular. I saw it I saw it twice in
both
I think it was
IMAX
in January.
experiences.
Yeah, January, February. I think I saw each month. I saw it once again, and then I mean, the year started off well.
I forgot that I saw that this year, because it's so long ago, I guess. But
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but I mean, technically, most of the year was pretty decent as far as like new movies. I mean, it was pretty. It's like 50-50 with the new movies, but just on a general level, other movies that I watched, whether they're old or movies that I haven't seen yet in a long, or I haven't seen in a long time, or I never saw, and then I just decided, let me finally watch this film. It was pretty good in that case. Television wasn't bad either. I think I saw a lot of good TV. Barry was this year, right? The final season. Okay. Yeah. I actually, I actually kind of, I mean, I get what you're saying. I kind of agree with what you're saying because, thinking about it.
You and I were having a little conversation
but
about that.
I still don't think it was a bad.
Hey, why don't we get that out the way?
season.
Go ahead.
I just think,
Oh no. Fair enough. Yeah, just to kind of say, I'll say what I thought. I still loved Barry. I thought it was great. I thought that Bill Hader in taking control of the series. Obviously, he wrote it with Alec Berg, I believe, is the other guy, and they fashioned this history with Barry. And I think myself personally, it was a series that was super character driven, and it was the idiosyncrasies and like the funny stuff about Barry, but it was very deep and dark too. And you got to see this character, and I thought that they perfectly balanced, say, episodes where Barry's freaking out about performing with Sally, what I mean, playing an abusive boyfriend, where she ends up like screwing him over on set in front of everybody, as opposed to episodes where he's having a karate fight with a little girl.
Season 3,
You know what I mean? Like, it perfectly balanced it. I thought towards the end of the previous season, the stuff when they had the motorcycle fights and stuff, where that was last season, right? That wasn't this season, right? Where they were like motorcycle, where it was like, it was like a long take of him on a motorcycle getting chased and stuff like that. That's when I think like he started going, I'm gonna get really avant-garde with this, so I can now just focus on this. It's sort of like, even and this is not me shitting on the series. It sounds like it, but I'm not. But it's sort of like I still look at David Lynch, like, even as bizarre as he gets, like, Twin Peaks didn't feel any different. The newest version of Twin Peaks didn't feel different from the older version. It felt a little bit more R-rated, for sure, but I didn't feel any difference. Obviously, the difference was the main character having a kind of a different character change, because if he was smart, he would have gotten out of the problem very quickly. So he kind of had to dumb his character down. But that's what I meant. Like, Lynch didn't lose the thread, even though it was how many years apart between this season and the last one of Twin Peaks. But Barry, I felt he was just like, you know what, I'm going to make this series as beautiful as possible. I've already done what I needed to go as far as I needed to go with the characters, personality wise. So now we're just gonna see the thread end of what their characters do. And for me, I felt a little bit of a loss with that, but I still didn't think it was disappointing. But there was stuff with Hank that I wish was done better. There was stuff with Barry himself.
Yeah.
Barry was suddenly like Jaws, you know.
But here's the thing. Yeah, I get that too. Although throughout all the seasons, he had always those like long extended sequences. Sure. But I think the issue with this show, the thing that happened and why the 4th season was so different as far as like tone wise and the way it kind of like lost those like personal intermingling moments,
interactions and stuff like that, right?
Interactions like where asides and little funny things that people are saying, and then like it's deadpan humor, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which was amazing in the first 3 seasons, was because the seasons weren't long enough.
Right.
I felt like there was more story that needed to be told, but because they decided to end it on season 4, right? That they ended it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. The fact that they decided to end it at that season when they needed to tell more story, so that's why it does that crazy jump. It jumps like it does a time jump, pretty much, right? Yeah. I feel like that killed the momentum of what was built, because it was actually building up to something.
Yeah.
The first 3 seasons were building, he was getting, Kusuno wasn't trusting him anymore. He was going to call the cops on him. And so there was a lot of like things happening. And I felt like season 4 was just like, he was just like, all right, well, I got to end it. So let's do this time jump where now we're like living somewhere else. And it's like, I just feel like it needed to be a longer season.
You needed something in between whatever we just saw the last season.
Yeah, it needed to build to that ultimate climax of like all shit, breaking down and.
Yeah, because also. No, please finish.
No, that's it. I feel like that was the reason why it was jarring. You know what I mean? And I felt that too. But then I just accepted it because I was like, okay, I mean, that's what he decided to do with the story. So I'm fine with it. Like, the way it ended, I was like, all right, I'm fine with this ending because
and Bill Hader, when he got interviewed, he says that he never really thinks of the next season. Obviously, they must have thought about this season because I usually think that's hokum if you don't have any sort of plan for another season after it. But he says usually they write themselves into a corner because once he was like caught, I was like, how the hell do you write yourself out of this corner in jail? But obviously they did it pretty well for him to get out. But I kind of wasn't feeling it, but. The one thing that just stick in my craw, and obviously this is a gigantic spoiler for the ending of Barry, is Kusuno taking the fall, and like, wouldn't Sally be his like witness for like prison, like for him not to go to jail? Like, she obviously Barry is that's somewhere I was like, this is too much, but I still accepted it for what it was. Sure, I sort of felt like it was like, but
all that stuff, they did it because they had to. And that's the issue. That's the issue. Like, instead of saying,
and it had been 3 years since the previous season, right?
I think it had been. Yeah, it might have been. So it was like they had, like you said, they wrote themselves into a corner, and then they were like, we have to end it, and then so they're like, this is all we can do, because even him getting caught at the end of the other season, I'm like, that should have been something that could have been at the climax of the final season. You know what I mean? Like, you could have done that as the climax.
And I was fine with him getting killed. Like, I never really expected him to get out of it. And the thing is, for me, I'm sort of a justice nerd sometimes with characters. Like, I wanted him to get away with certain things, but like when he killed like Kusuno's girlfriend, I was like, that's just like, and that's what gave the show serious balls, though. I thought when he killed that character, like, I was just like, oh, in the first season, I was like, okay, they're doing something serious here. But I was like, this guy's doomed, yo. He's doomed. Once he killed her, I was like, he's got to be doomed just for like people in general to have a nice, comfy sleep. You know what I mean? But I thought they handled it well with Kusuno doing it, because Kusuno was like so back and forth being a pussy about things that he actually just took control, even though like the one moment where he acted quickly is when he shouldn't have. So it's kind of ironic in that case, but Right. Well, that's our kind of stance. So
and it goes to something like Better Call Saul, because that was was also this year, the final episodes.
Really?
Yeah, it's just crazy, bro.
Everything, bro.
Jesus.
Which thing of that?
And Ozark too. But anyway,
yeah.
Ozark, I did not like the
okay.
last. I didn't like it, bro.
Well, what did you like about it?
They jumped. To me, I forgot, but they jumped the shark to me. I don't know.
They I think they boned up so bad. It's so because listen to me, okay? Spoilers for Ozark. This is hard deconstruction. This is not a horror show, seriously. But they messed up. Okay, the birds, right? The birds, they're always in close with who's the blonde girl? What is her character's name on the show? The Southern girl, whatever her name is.
Yeah, I forgot her name.
The Spitfire. Okay, so she kills the son of the mafia lady guy. That lady killed her brother because she thinks that he killed her son. Obviously, now we know. Now she knows he didn't do it. She's still in business with the birds, who they know work with that young girl. Who she would know that they would know that she killed them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. And she's just like, oh, okay, I'll stay in business with you guys. Get out of here. And then like the son, I guess, giving up. Because then the writer said the son basically did obviously kill that very stupid cop at the end. Because the cop came in with no backup to confront these people who are obviously criminals. Now, I enjoyed it for the most part for the final season, but it just seems like a lot. You shows that let you down. Smart shows that go. This is kind of dumb.
The season fine.
Pissed you off though. Oh, okay.
No, it was the last episode.
Yeah,
and the very ending. I'm like,
yes,
it just didn't hold true. It didn't hold true. I don't know. They turned into some like. Now they're all together and killing. You know, like they became evil.
Because they said when the son had the gun, they were like, that's the point where he changed from being this kid who was annoying the whole season because of his uncle.
And I just think they were always flip-flopping. Like, one of them, like, there was always somebody there with a conscience, whether it was the daughter or the son. Someone was always trying to... Because the parents were the ones that were really the ones that were fucking shit up. They were doing the deals and...
They were doing all the bad shit, looking for.
They were doing all the bad shit,
and the wife was more evil than the husband, kind of thing.
She became more evil later on. Yeah, she absolutely did. And then I feel like, I don't know. At the end, they became like the evil family, and I'm like, I don't know. It didn't hold true. It didn't hold true for me.
Do these show? Okay, so let's go one more thing. Let's do the Trinity. Saul. Your thoughts?
Saul was the one that ended the best for me.
Okay, I think so too. I think it was a very dumb decision that Saul makes, but I agree 100%.
What was the decision he made?
I mean, it became some moral compass because obviously he wasn't going to go out like oh my god, why am I forgetting his name from Breaking Bad, from
Walter White.
Yeah, thank you very much. From Walter White, Walter White was gonna die no matter what, like because he wanted to go out his own heroic way or whatever. And I had problems with that ending too because they needed to make Nazis. They needed to have a secondary evil guy, so Walt's not the most evil guy, that kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
but it was fine. And in this one, it's like you can't get pleased by anything. With this one, like Saul's like, morally, I'm the good guy. See, I told Walt to do everything, so now I'm gonna go to jail for 80 plus years. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He could have easily got out early, and he could have rehabilitated himself by trying to do something to help people. At the end of it, to show that Jimmy McGill's not gonna fucking be 80 years or whatever. That's just me. Looking ahead at something else that's not there, because that was the director going, okay, let's have Saul show heart at the end of this. He doesn't completely break bad like fucking Walter White does, even though he was towards the end, and it's just like, all right. But I mean, I still think it did end better out of these series.
Yeah, it did, and all the episodes leading up to it, they were just really great and unique, and we were seeing Jimmy at the tail end of his life,
slipping up, going back into his thing.
I like that fact that the black and white stuff, that all that stuff was really good. Like, we just got more insight into Jimmy,
And Kim was married with somebody else that she was bored with. Married. And it was just like a whole different thing now.
But she was dealing with a lot of trauma and guilt, shit that she did.
And the wife of bro, I was so I knew it had to happen when they killed off this dude. I was just like, that shit hurt my feelings, dude. I was like, that shit hurt my feelings, bro.
What was his name?
Hamilton.
Yeah,
Hamlin and something or whatever.
Yeah, that was fucked up. That was fucked up.
But it makes sense because they need to have like a sacrificial, lamb in that series.
I think the best part of this last season was Nacho.
Yeah, he was great.
He was great, and his end was great too, bro. When he was they were gonna kill him, and he just told them what was on his mind. Like,
I thought he'd last longer, but yeah, he was the honor, man.
But I love that. I love his end. The other character, the Salamanca, the other one. What's his name?
Yeah. I know you're talking
about the guy with the mustache that was like the main bad guy.
Yeah.
That he ended up. He ended up dying with. Who did he die with?
Shooting him out.
They died in him and Gus, right? They had a
Gus just shot him.
Gus shot him, and then they ended up dumping him. He got with Hamlin. They got buried.
Yeah,
together.
They buried them together, right?
In the fucking lab.
Yeah.
Underneath the lab. So like in Breaking Bad, when we see the lab, they're under there, their bodies. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
So they got excavated too. So that's good. They told him. They told him at the end. His wife.
That whole thing. Oh, they told him. Right. They told him.
Yeah, right.
But that whole thing, that whole part was great. Just the very end was a little bit like. I like that they kind of brought back Walter White. Like, I mean, the fact that Jimmy was getting arrested because of the stuff he did with Walter White. You know what I mean? So that kind of connects it again to the show, just in case people forgot for some reason.
Right.
That this was part of Breaking Bad, which I like.
Was Walter's bald cap good in this one, or?
I think it was. I mean,
was Better Call Saul? Was it as good as El Camino? I'm not sure.
Nah, it was better. It was better. I didn't like El Camino that much.
The same.
Anyway,
okay.
So I mean,
do any TV shows that you love really ever? There are shows that
end well,
hit the mark.
That's hard, man. I haven't really seen one yet, bro.
No,
to be honest
I did
with
also. Yeah, true. I did also watch The Outsider, which I enjoyed a lot. You had told me about it a long time ago. I thought it was great. It was a great adaptation of the book. Show. They actually created characters that were not in the book, and they made them really interesting. Because I was like watching it, going, who the hell is this character? But they made it great. Like they made Holly. Who's played by different actors than the one in. I wanted to finish Mercedes, the Mr. Mercedes show, but I will get to that. But like, she's played by a different actress in this one. But it was great. She was great. They changed up the ending. Yeah, they changed the ending of the book because Holly's the one that beats Mr. Mercedes. I mean, she beats the outsider to death. It isn't the main guy, but that guy's a great actor.
He's so good. Because in this show, he was so subtle and just quiet. And usually he's a little bit more boisterous in a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
He's like that crazy Australian guy. Whatever. But this
he was from Animal Kingdom, right? That's what his first
but this one, he was so like, he was so internal. And that shows that he's such a great actor.
I just love the sound of that guy's voice, dude. I really do. Yeah.
But I like this. I like that series because the people became like a team trying to find this fucking creature.
And the fact that he couldn't believe what the fuck was going on. I love that shit.
He couldn't believe it, but he still was on the case. He was like...
It was like if it was Scully was the lead and not David Duchovny's character.
Exactly. And then he was like, we still have to do this, I mean, if you want to go... that's a limited series, only a season, but that had a great ending.
Yeah,
a lot of limited series do have great endings because they only
because they know there's nothing coming after it, right? They intended to make a second season, like they were shopping it around, but HBO says nah because Stephen King released like a novella, and it was really stretching it because he released a novella that was like about Holly investigating another person who does that, eating the horror of other people, and I was like, I was like reading it going, I mean, it was fine, but I was like, that's almost impossible, like, because like you're stretching it for this kind of storyline, but it felt like Stephen King just like, oh, here's an idea for the second season, but they never did it anyway. But the character Holly got her great own book, and it had nothing to do with fucking alien, whatever the fuck they fought. So why don't we get into the top movies that we saw this year, the movies that you thought were great? Like I said that there's no numerals that we have to put to it, But you know, if you feel like he's a top 10 or a top 12 or whatever you felt like, and they definitely need to be numeralized, please with it. Let me hear your top movies of the year.
Oh, my top movies.
I'm sorry if that's difficult. You saw a lot of movies this year, right?
I saw a lot of movies. When we talking about, I mean,
I would say movies that are not repeated, like not movies that you've seen before and you saw them again.
I'll go with brand new movies. Obviously, there's I would say Oppenheimer is probably up there, my top 5. So it's Oppenheimer, The Killer.
Yep.
What else did I see? Okay, Oppenheimer, The Killer. I would say maybe Beau is Afraid. That was this year, right? Yeah, Beau is Afraid. The Holdovers, which just saw that.
We got to talk a little bit about that later, but
maybe Mission Impossible, the new one.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I'm just saying new movies because those would be my top 5 of the year as far as new movies. And then I saw a bunch of, let's say runner-ups, stuff that are old. Like I saw that movie Richard Jewell.
Oh, okay.
Directed by Clint Eastwood.
What was that?
Now I think Clint Eastwood is pretty much lost it. Even movies that he did before that, I just realized that movie came out in 2019, bro. I thought that movie was like from 2015. It was 2019. It was right before the pandemic that this movie came out.
Oh man. So I guess that makes sense.
So one day I was like on Amazon and it was there on Amazon Prime. I was like, let me watch this, bro. It's one of his best films. It's the last best film he's done. Great film that he's ever done.
The last movie of his that I saw was Gran Torino, which he directed. So
ooh, I didn't like that.
Yeah, I know that acting of that kid. Oh my god.
Like I watched that movie he did, Sully, about the airline pilot,
airline guy. Yeah.
All right, but then I'm like, no, it's shitty. And then he did that other one, The Mule, where he was like this taking drugs, and which was horrible.
What was the one where he was? What was the last one before?
Cry Macho.
Yeah, I saw parts of that one where he's the guy. He looks like he looks like paper mache. Like it doesn't look real. He's like getting into fights. I was like, there's no way. Like. There's suspense of disbelief, but come on, man. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, if he shot a gun, he would fly back like, Will Smith in fucking Men in Black or something. I couldn't believe it. Hey, Richard Jewell, there's a reason why that guy kept getting nominated, so.
It's actor. Really good. He's good in it. Sam Rockwell's in it. Kathy Bates is in it. Great. It's great. It's a great movie.
Were there movies this year that... I'm sorry, go ahead.
And then, just a couple other movies that I saw that were new was the Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves.
I keep hearing that's good. I don't know why I'm like just not interested. It's
really good. Everybody says and I'm not even I don't care about Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a good movie. It's funny. It has a lot going for it. I saw a lot of stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I liked. I enjoyed it.
I saw that. I thought that was good, yeah.
Extraction 2, which I know we spoke about.
Yeah, you said it was good.
I enjoyed this movie. I thought this movie was one of the best action films I've seen in a long time. I mean, it's like a video game, but fuck it.
All right.
Once you get into it. Beef Season 1. Remember I told you about Beef with...
right, yeah. I saw the first episode and I thought it was great. And I'm like, why have I not finished this show? But yes, it is true. It is really
those are just some of them. And I think also The Last of Us was this year, too, which is crazy. I've not seen that.
And everybody says it's great, and I have to see that show, too.
Which I enjoyed. So those are some of the movies. Those are my top 5 are all new movies from this year. But we'll talk about more movies once we get past your list.
Let me get my list. These are the movies that I like. I would tell people to watch this year. The one that I've seen even for the first time myself. Like there's some movies here that I haven't seen. I thought The Holdovers. Honestly, I felt like The Holdovers is number 1 for me. It barely scraped by Oppenheimer, and I understand why the importance of Oppenheimer. But like Oppenheimer, I was like, damn, that was great. But then when I saw Holdovers, like I completely felt like for at least the nearly 2 hours. that I was in the movie. Like I didn't have any. I wasn't like, because listen, everything's fucking miserable. Honestly, the world is a miserable place, and this was the first movie where, as I was watching it, I completely forgot everything. You know what I mean? Like my brain is very ADHD, and I'm like, I can't focus on stuff. But as I watched this movie, I just saw a simple movie about three people with fucked up lives coming together. And you can say that, it's a corny kind of thing. We'll get into it. I'm not going to go into it right now, but that's the reason why I fucking love that movie. Oppenheimer, obviously that was a great movie. Nolan has like ascended with this, even though now he says that every superhero movie owes to Zack Snyder. So he's losing his mind. Godzilla -1. I think is in one of the top threes from one that is. Listen, I'm not a Godzilla guy. I like the idea of Godzilla. I like the aesthetic of it, but I can never sit through any of those movies. -1 is a movie that even if you have no interest in, I saw Godzilla the version, the American version. I was like, I almost climbed up to the ceiling and threw myself off the theater. I saw this version. It's a solid movie. It's really good. It has a great human character story to it. And usually I'm like, I'll go to see a Godzilla movie, but I don't give a shit about humans. This shit is a perfect human story within the context of this. History of the Cult was this cool Latino movie. I'm trying to think if it was Mexican or I think it's Argentinian or something. I could be wrong. Sorry. But it's a weird black and white film that takes place in the 80s, but also now, and it's like super spooky. It's really good, really interesting sort of occult film that isn't like outwardly scary, and it's not like an outwardly horror film, but there's just something so unsettling, and I appreciate that more than sort of easy horror films. Obviously, Beau is Afraid. I had a good time with it, even if people consider it Ari Aster's worse. I still think it's better than most movies that came out. The Killer, obviously, it's been a long time since I've seen a Fincher film, and I was glad to see him just back to his mechanical machinations with movies. Killers of the Flower Moon, obviously. I'm surprised you didn't say that one.
I'm sorry. I missed that one, bro. I missed that one.
Yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon. You like that movie more than I did.
That's in my top 5.
That is obviously showing that Scorsese still hasn't skipped a beat with the movie, even though I had a little bit of issues with it. I still think, obviously, Scorsese knows what he's doing. And the ending of it itself with the whole, the sort of equalization of radio plays to podcast, listening to serial killer stories, is one of the most brilliant things I'd seen. Soft and Quiet is a really, really good movie that I do not even want to spoil. It's on Netflix, as far as that I saw. Just go in without knowing anything about Soft and Quiet. Just go watch it. It's one of the most tense things I've seen in any movie. And that movie came out, I think, a year or two ago. But Exorcist 3 was the first time I saw it this year. Fantastic movie. A beautiful closing to the original Exorcist movie, even though they fucked up the storyline of this cop being friends with a priest. El Conde is a really cool, stylized at what you'd expect from a Latin movie, but it's a beautiful film. It has the most beautiful flight I've ever seen in a movie, like a character's flying kind of thing. The most beautiful I've ever seen in anything, even in Superman movies. I just love, like, you will see this and be like, shit, man, imagine if they shot a Superman flying scene like this. Like, I'm sure Zack Snyder's done it fine. But anyway, and the last one I'll mention is New Religion, which is a Japanese sort of unsettling, weird body horror movie. It's fucking great. That's great. So those are the movies that I think are the best, because I've seen a lot of movies this year, not as much as Deckard has, but those are movies that I would say are pretty cool. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little about The Holdovers? What did you think?
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. I loved it, man. I thought it was like vintage Alexander Payne. It's what he does best. He didn't write this. He's usually a writer, but a lot of his good films he didn't write. He like just directed the screenplay. This just reminded me a lot.
He hates that it sounds comfy. That's what he says when people say that it's a comfy movie, and I'm like, dude, it's Christmas movie.
It is. I mean,
but go ahead.
It reminded me a lot of The Descendents, is this other film that he did, which I really love. But it has
the same, George Clooney movie.
That's the George Clooney movie, yeah. Which I love this. I love that movie, but it has the same characteristics that are in this film, as like human interactions and human,
drama and stuff like that.
Drama. That's what the movie is pretty much. There's a central plot to it, but it's all the little things that happen in between that is really what makes the film. You know what I mean? And this is what I feel like the Holdovers. That's what it is. You know, and it just really deals with the relationships of these people who are. I mean, the idea is pretty. It's pretty new, as far as like I haven't seen a film that necessarily deals with like people who have to stay at a school during Christmas vacation because everyone else is gone with their families, but they have to stay there. That was kind of a cool concept. Like I hadn't seen something like that in a movie, at least that I can remember.
Paul Giamatti is just Paul Giamatti. I think is the equal to who's the actor that we enjoy that died of unfortunate reasonings that he's in everything. He was in Boogie Nights.
Philip Seymour
it's a real
Hoffman.
good tribute. Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's what I meant him. So I think Giamatti has garnered enough goodwill with people and audiences. He's as loved, I think, as although now this guy is almost like sainthood. Seymour Hoffman. But I think Giamatti is like, he's one of those guys where you like, it's not like you forget about him, but then you see him in a movie and you're like, shit, man, like.
No, you kind of forget about him.
They gave him his wings to fly in certain movies because he's not, the typical marquee guy. You know what I mean? You're not gonna sell a movie. He's gonna be in a fucking karate movie or something like that.
He's a character actor, but he also he's not in that many movies that you would think. Right. Like he's always in like these smaller movies or like these side movies, right? Until he gets a part like this.
It's like Big Mama's House. I forgot he was in there.
Yeah, or like he's been working a lot recently, and I'm like, I haven't really seen a lot of shit he's done, but I think he's done also television. He's on this show Billions, right? I haven't seen it, but he's been on that, so he's working, But when he gets the chance to be in a movie like this, where it's like he's this front and center, it's so amazing.
It's and the thing is, you go like, I got to get some more Giamatti. So I found out he had a podcast. I was listening to that. I was listening to all his interviews, and he's just such a cool guy. And the people that are with him in the film, I think Dominic Cessna's the name of the kid. I'm not sure, but that's the first movie he's ever done, and he was great. He looked like they said he looks like he came out of the 70s. I was like, he does. He has like these really sharp like eyes and stuff. And then the woman who plays the cook, I'm sorry I forget her name, but like she's so good. Honestly, I thought she was like too young for the character because I don't know how old her character was because she has a very young looking face, but she was great in it too. And I was like, damn, man, like everybody was just so good and so believable, and I believed everything that they went through, and it was just so like, and it wasn't like cheesy or corny, you know what I mean? It was nothing like that. And I really appreciated that, like, PAYNE made a movie like this that felt like it was.
It's just real. It is real.
Divine Joy Randolph is the woman who played it, and just seeing how those characters interact with each other was so good, and it wasn't cheesy and corny. And I absolutely loved the movie, and I was so grateful that a movie like that was made now, and it isn't like that corny chicken soup for the soul shit, but it felt like a real movie with real characters, and believe me, with every movie that we saw this year, there was like, I think there was too stylized to be fucking, Even though I loved Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer felt like a Batman movie compared to the Holdovers. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt like
it's overly stylized and it's overly.
And that's not a knock at Oppenheimer, obviously.
No. But it's because of the music, the sound design. It's like it's like level 10 for everything.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's not letting you.
Those are to sell those are to sell like Oppenheimer popcorn buckets and shit. The Holdovers systems to do that.
But yeah, I think this is what Alexander Payne does when he does a good movie. Like this is his thing. Like he did that other movie,
Nebraska.
Is it Nebraska?
Okay.
So Nebraska, this and the other movie, The Descendants, I feel like they're very similar in the way they deal with the characters, and he's very good at that. He does this very subtle filmmaking of just like holding on these characters as they just do human things. You know what I mean? Even if they're not speaking, like when they're just sitting watching television or something, it's like you feel like this is reality. You know what I mean?
You can look at this person and relate to them, even if they live 100 different type of life from you. You still like, this is a human being going through human shit right now.
And all these people they're dealing with something. Yeah, they're dealing with some sort of trauma, some sort of thing that's conflicting with each other, but eventually they start to like understand each other. It's just, it's just the age-old type of storytelling, but it's just done so well.
Yeah, so I think like obviously Holdovers is a universal recommendation from you and I. Like, I don't think there's any. I didn't have any issues with the movie at all. I was just like, shit. I wish there was. I wish this was like I wish this shit had sequels, though. But what can you do? Worst movies of the year for you. I don't know if you've worst experiences with movies. I know we have another thing coming up with letdowns, which don't mean the worst, but these. Okay. Should we do letdowns first? Let's do letdowns first before worst. Because what are your letdowns for the year?
My letdowns are Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Oh, no kidding! How'd that not end up on the worst? It might end up on it anyway.
I don't know. It might.
Yeah, I guess they would sort of cross mingle, but yeah, that is just a little bit of.
It's a letdown.
What was it's a letdown
because
why?
Oh, because it just the story sucked. Indiana Jones CGI sucked. It just had no real emotion. It didn't have real great action sequence. I mean, everything that an Indiana Jones movie should be, it just didn't have.
Did it have not enough hats on fire escapes for you? They need 2 or 3 more of those shots.
I don't know.
Please listen to that episode. We did the episode entitled what is it called? The Dial of Destiny and the Postmortem of the Indiana Jones Legacy. Just listen to that, because if you want to hear me and Deckard cry about what they did to our beautiful boy, that's the most potent answer right there. Anything else as a giant letdown for you this year?
Yeah, Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't even think about that, but that's right.
Mostly horror films. Talk to Me, which was okay, but it was a letdown. Okay. I realized something from that movie that they should have done. They made a mistake in the writing. Instead of it being already an established thing, like that people can do this, like use that hand to like connect with whatever the other world, that spirits or whatever. They should have done it where they discover it, right? Like they discover how to start using it, because it was already established that they knew how to do this. So I feel like that they didn't have enough content to keep a movie going for 2 hours, because they should have like the first half of this film should have been them figuring this shit out, like finding that hand and then being like, oh, whatever, something.
Because then they try to make it a big. Remember, they try to make it a big deal. Remember the opening with the teenage guy who stabbed himself to death and he stabs his brother. Yeah. And then they make it a big deal. Oh, we got to find the brother because he'll tell us what happens. And he doesn't tell him anything that's important to the movie.
They never do.
Oh, if you use the hand, you're gonna get cursed. No fucking shit. Are you kidding me? Wow. What? That's such a brain buster of it's revelation.
Stupid. But again, they wasted so much. Just suspense that they could have built if they should have done like an origin of like these kids discovering this, right? Instead of it was well shot already.
I'll give them credit. It was well shot. It was well made.
But I'm not gonna give them credit. I'm sorry
for YouTubers.
Yeah, but that means nothing, because again, these guys, they're not shooting this themselves. They hired people.
Oh, fair enough.
They had a budget. And they hired DPs and camera operators who work in the business. So I'm not gonna say like, YouTubers. If they would have shot it themselves, like they do their YouTube shit, and it would have been this good, then I would have been like, they're good. But they got help.
Like Dutch shots, Dutch angles, and like close-ups and stuff like that.
If they would have done like what Sam Raimi did in Evil Dead 1, the first one, I would have been like, yeah, these guys are crazy. But
so are you saying you disagree with Peter Jackson saying it's the best?
Absolutely. He's just saying that because they're Australian and he's from New Zealand, and they're like, I guess close. But again, I'm not saying that it sucked visually. Like it was nice, but then I could also tell that this was a first time director, or this was their first film, because you could just tell. Even though it was slick, you'd be like, I understand they're not sophisticated enough. Like their storytelling isn't sophisticated enough for them to carry an entire film yet.
Right.
And I feel like it was just way too much buzz on this shit, and they could have done it better.
Hype does no movie.
They should have made it more low budget feel than slick, because I think it would have done better.
You didn't like
anyway.
It Follows, right?
No, I did.
You did? Okay.
I did like it.
So I'm trying to figure out, because I had a conversation with somebody, but I remember when I saw It Follows, I felt the same thing that I saw with this. Like, I liked It Follows, but man, did people shit on that movie. And I felt like there was the opposite with this one. Like, people loved it without like kind of watching it. Like, they were just like nitpicking for no reason. For some reason there's like a balance between those two movies for some reason, but like I can't think of it right now, but we did it.
I can't remember It Follows right now, 'cause I think I saw it literally one time. Right. But
people hated that for some reason.
I did feel like the movie like pattered out, whatever how you ever say petered out near the end. Like, I felt like the ending wasn't as strong as like the first half, or like the first and second half. I don't know, but I felt like the film had a great atmosphere and great. It felt more stylized, and it felt like more unique than Talk.
And the director followed it up with fucking Under the Silver Lake. That's what it's called.
Which I love that movie.
A beautiful movie. It's supposed to make you believe that, and Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man movies is a loser, even though every girl basically asks him for sex. And I was okay, I feel bad for Spider-Man in this. No way, but it was a great movie. I love that movie. It's a super weird Norm movie. Anything else that let you down?
Okay, let me see letdowns. I think those are the three that are like major. I'm trying to see what else could have let me down. Nah, man, I'm not really seeing anything.
I also got to say, I left out on must see The Artifice Girl. I thought that was a really interesting, intriguing movie, and even Mike Flanagan, even though he's been praising a lot of strange movies, he praised that one. And I would say The Artifice Girl is like a 3-segmented movie about AI being used to trap pedophiles, and the girl program, if she's a real person in it. And it's really interesting. It's a really for like a movie where you would think like, oh fuck, and it's not like David Mamet or like Play sort of dialogue. It's still interesting, and it's so well made. So I'm sorry I skipped on that, but
I'm gonna put one in there.
Let's hear it.
Clerks 3.
Yes, thank you. I didn't even think about that. What a depressing fucking movie. What a way to fucking kill that franchise, bro. I understand he had his like issues, and that's why he wrote that movie like that. But what a way to shit on those characters, bro. I've never felt more worse for Dante Hicks, the character from the View Askew universe, than that movie. What a miserable fucking movie to watch. It is the antithesis of the Holdovers. Clerks 3 is the most miserable fucking movie of the year. I thought there was another movie that's miserable. I saw the Lockdown Tower, which is a movie I told you to watch. I'm glad you didn't watch it, which is about people stuck in this building, and then it had an interesting idea, but it was miserable. But fuck yeah, Clerks 3, man, he fucked up big time with that movie. And it's not like, oh, you should, see a happy ending in the movie, but even Clerks 2 had a pretty fucking good ending. Do you know what I mean? And people hated Clerks 2. I thought it was okay, but this Clerks 3, bro, what was it about that?
It was just a bad movie.
Yeah, fair enough. It is
in general.
It's just poorly directed. It's just like
it's poorly directed. The whole concept too. I didn't like it. Like the fact that he's making clerks.
Yeah, because I get what you're doing, off.
But it's not really. You're not really making Clerks because it's not.
I wasn't expecting
the story of Clerks.
I wasn't expecting him to do a great movie, but fucking hell was that
But
depressing.
don't make that the plot, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So stupid.
It wasn't good.
All that time to like get the actor who played Randall back, and that's what you do with these characters. Fuck that. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Anyway, Project Wolf Hunting was this Korean action horror film, and Koreans are pretty good at making like South Korean movies. I mean, are pretty good at like having really nice stylized action flicks. that are more than just like if you think of that train movie, Train to Busan, right? Like that's kind of usually standard, the really good ones that come over here. Project Wolf Hunting, and I will say the violence is like pretty fucking like shocking. It's like really violent, but it's not the movie that I expected it to be, and it just becomes some sort of weird science fiction shit at the end. And it's just like if you want to see violence in a movie, then fine. But I wanted to see a little bit more, especially from a South Korean movie, because you expect more from that cinema, and that was not the movie. I don't even know why I have Scream 6 here, because I knew it would be bad. Just a total fucking. But the series got torpedoed anyway because of the whole political shit that just happened. But yeah, it's just not even worth watching that movie. But people love it. Who's Sarah the Bone Woman is like this feminist horror film about a woman who is pregnant and does she want to keep her baby, and they're selling it like some sort of like folk horror movie, and it was okay. It was well made, but it just was not what I thought it was going to be. Anyway, okay. So that sounded like the worst movies we saw this year, but this is our actual worst movies that I think I've seen this year. Do you have any, or those were covered by it?
I think those were covered, bro.
Okay. So obviously, Indiana Jones is one of the worst movies I've seen this year. Exorcist Believer. You didn't see it, right?
Oh.
I'm glad you didn't see it.
No.
I know we were supposed to, but you saved yourself. It's and it's not even because it's worse, like it's a bad movie. It's bad because it has the Exorcist name on it. That's the main reason why it's just a poorly made movie. It's an embarrassment to the original film. Even I'm sure even Exorcist 2 is probably better than this shit, although I'll never see that movie. Ennismen is this retro film. Remember that movie that we saw? I don't know.
Yeah,
you saw it. It was done in 16 millimeter or what kind of... It's in this process.
Yeah, it was done with 60mm with no sound. All the sound was done in post.
And I thought that movie was fine. I liked it. It's a gimmick. Now I know it's a gimmick because when I saw Ennismen, it's just a fucking gimmick that he can't make good movies. The movie was fine, the first one, but it was just a general story, and the gimmick is what sold it. It's almost like if you saw Lighthouse and it wasn't like as good as it was. You know what I mean? So this one, Ennismen, was just I'm telling you, dude, it is an abomination of film. It's the worst movie I saw this year because it was just repetitive, same shots over and over of a woman walking silently near some house near the water, and I was like, dude, I wouldn't put anyone through watching that shit. That's how fucking bad it was for me. And the last one is this movie called The Price We Pay. There's this director, this Japanese director that I really liked. I forget his name. He did a movie called Versus. He did a movie called Alive in Japan and stuff like that. He did Midnight Meat Train. He's the same director of that. This one has Emile Hirsch in it. And it also has, oh God, what is his name? Deacon Frost from Blade. Whatever that actor's name is. Phoning it in. You couldn't believe how on a horrible movie, dude. It was when I saw it, I was like, this is the worst movie I've seen this year. Fucking Ennis came out after that. Horrible slasher movie. Just and I feel so bad that director has to take these shitty American scripts because he has such potentials. If you ever seen, there's a Japanese horror movie called Versus, which is basically like a Yakuza version of The Evil Dead, and it's funny too. And to see how far he's fallen, especially with Midnight Meat Train, was fun. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
He's
I like that movie.
He's, as you say, lost it. Why don't we talk a little bit about what are you looking towards, cinematic wise?
I'm looking towards fucking.
Who is it? Nah, just kidding. Go ahead.
Nah, I'm looking towards like the end of days, bro. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you know stuff like Dune Part 2.
Okay.
Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2. What else is coming out, bro? Avatar. That's not until next year. I'm always looking for the next Avatar.
True. We got 20 of them coming anyway, right?
Hey, I think so, but fuck it. I mean, I could sit through 20 of those, bro.
It's better to not. Yeah, it's better to not look towards something because it's always gonna fucking fall apart.
Yeah.
Marvel movies, I'm not really looking towards anymore. I stopped looking towards them when I was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I watched them all. You know, I put in my time. You know, and I don't want to hear shit from Marvel people. I've put in my time, but it's just after like Quantum. Like I was kind of falling out of it before, but Quantumania really like. It showed me like it was basically they could have had Jonathan Majors come out of the screen and tell me you don't have to do this anymore, and I would have been okay, thank you, and I would have just walked out of the fucking theater. But yeah, Dune 2 is the only one that I'm looking towards. I don't know anything else besides Avatar, obviously, because I want to see how that story ends. But that's it. Like I'm sure there will.
Yeah, I mean Avatar is like it's not even. Yeah, I mean we definitely want to see the story, but that movie. A percentage of that movie is not even about the story. It's just about like
it's just the experience.
It's like sitting back and just like watching it,
disappearing
and like
from Earth.
Yeah, and that's one of the only movies that is able to do that in that way, in that completely immersive way. I'm like, that's why I love it. You know, fuck, like I do love the story too, but I don't care, man. I'm there for the experience.
Yeah.
So anyway,
James Cameron can't fail.
Nah, he already.
Unless he produces it, he can't fail.
Oh yeah.
Terminator Genesis.
I'm trying to think of any other films that are coming out. This is gonna sound stupid. I'm not looking forward to this film.
Okay. It's gonna sound
Ghostbusters, the new one, whatever. Now I'm not looking forward to it, but what I can say about it is, this is something they should have been doing from the beginning. Okay. Just coming up with new concepts, new like villains. Like this is like it came out of left field because I'm like, all right, this has nothing to do with. I'm assuming this is nothing from like the lore of Ghostbusters where there's this like this ice whatever. This seems to be something new,
right? You
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now just on those merits, I'm like, all right, at least they can do this. Like this is what they should have been doing with every film. A new villain, a new threat, something different. And I feel like that's what that movie, like when I look at that poster, I'm like, they're not trying to hang on to Gozer or some shit, even though they say Slimer's going to be in it, but what the fuck? But
gives a rat's ass.
I know, who cares?
I guess people that like the original Ghostbusters. I know friends that actually love Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters was my favorite movie. It was my favorite movie growing up. I was obsessed with this movie. I don't like Slimer.
The thing that is promising about this, it's probably the cartoon that pissed you off about Slimer. The thing that looks promising about this is that they have 4 comedians actually in it. Like, you know, like they have I always say alleged comedians. I don't say I've ever seen these guys and actually laughed at any of their shit. But these are like the 4 sort of standard asshole comedians that are in the movie. They still have those fucking kids. But it's somewhat looks like they're trying to retcon it in the sequel.
But then they have the old Ghostbusters there too, bro.
Yeah. So it's going to be 20
so I'm
Ghostbusters in the movie.
They're like, what are they going to do, bro? I don't know, man. I'm not looking forward to the movie, but I think it's too late. It's too late for them to try something new. Yeah. They already failed, but they should have done this a long time ago.
Anyway, another recommendation for a TV show that I saw was called Pluto on Netflix. It's an animated adaptation of a Japanese series. Brilliant. Has shades of Blade Runner 2049. I can't even think of what else it has in it, but it's like has giant robot fighting, but it's not the standard shit. It's like a real like serious dramatic thing, even though it has this kind of Flight of Fancy stuff. It's the same guy who wrote and did the book for this series called Monster, which I tell everybody to watch. It's a great animated series. That's what I'm gonna say about that. I saw Maestro. I finished that, and like I said about Maestro, you know, Gaspar Noé, right? Have you seen any of his stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Which movies have you seen? You saw Irreversible?
No, the one that takes place in like the dance club that everybody gets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that movie a lot. That was oh god, it's such.
Forgot the name of it.
But Gaspar Noé, I would say, doesn't direct movies with story. He directs chaos on screen. Like it's more of event that's happening than a movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because that's what that movie was.
Sure.
But Maestro feels like Bradley Cooper is channeling Gaspar Noé, but not for chaos, but for acting. Because Gaspar Noé's capturing chaos on screen. Bradley Cooper is capturing like acting, like, and he's doing a good job at it. Because I have not seen A Star Is Born, but this movie felt like vignettes of acting, and we're watching these beautiful, like, there's beautiful set pieces, there's great camera work, there's a beautiful dance sequence, there's him conducting. I wanted to see what the point of conducting is. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to at least learn when you're moving around that little stick, what does that mean? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you're conducting a band to play. They don't even do that. It's basically him and his wife, and I learned Leonard Bernstein. I didn't know he was gay. I just knew of his name, that he has the biggest balls in the history of husbands that are closeted gay men, because he was just fucking every guy. His wife was like okay with it. I was like, oh man. But it's I enjoyed it, but it's not it didn't feel like a film to me. It felt like I'm watching a really expensive collection of acting scenes. But it was still well done. Right. But it's not like the best I've seen. I
mean, I've heard that criticism a lot now. So
yeah,
I'm assuming
that's what they're trying to break his balls, because they're basically automatically going to say, oh, the actress that's in the film, and she does a great job too. But they're like talking about her. They're not really talking about Bradley Cooper, because they think that this is like a Bradley Cooper vanity project, and it might just be. But she does great. I think they both actually do great. I think that it's a. Yeah. I think it's a really, if you enjoy acting and you're not looking for a fucking story, because there's no real story besides him and her arguing about shit. But it's still well made. I would still suggest giving it a look. It's still well made.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'll watch it.
So before I get to the final thing around here, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Just a couple movies that I watched again, just to go down the list. Mm-hmm. Pearl was another one that I watched this year that I liked. Mm-hmm. That I really liked a lot. I think that's that guy's best film, probably.
Ty West.
What's his name? Yeah, I think that's probably his best film. I don't know if you agree with that, but I'm
trying to think of what his other movies were, but that might be true. I think it's his best made film. If that means something, like, you know what I mean. I think I might have a favorite of his, but I think he did a movie called The Innkeepers.
Yeah, I think this is his best made film.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one. Empire of Light was another movie that I saw, which was Sam Mendes.
Okay, yes.
I don't think a lot of people didn't like the movie, but I thought it was really good. It was really good.
Okay.
Bones and All is the one that we did. Obviously.
Yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed that. Even with David Gordon Green in it, it's still a good movie.
Yeah. I forgot that Copenhagen Cowboy was.
I enjoyed that series. I'm pissed because I know it won't get another season, and that's what Wending Refn does. He just gives you this,
just like his other series that he did before.
Yeah. Too Old to Die Young.
Oh God.
I was just talking to Danny earlier in this, that like we put Neon Demon as one of the worst movies we've seen, and I always wanted to rewatch it because I was like, I enjoy everything he did before that and after it, so maybe I just wasn't in the mood. But yeah, he's doing it to his own shows. Like, it's like he's almost daring them to not give him a second season, and they make sure they're like, you ain't getting a second season. We haven't heard anything about. I didn't even know Copenhagen Cowboy came out, dude. I remember the trailer for it, and then it was just on. I was like, what the hell? I liked it too.
But I liked it too, man. I think it was he went a little too overboard with his fucking style. Yeah, like even the one before that, Too Old to Die Young,
he's been unleashed, dude. Like I think
was like, you could follow it and you could like sort of like get into it, even though it was super slow. But this one was on another level, bro.
I don't know when I saw the Pusher trilogy, but I saw it on Tubi. That was his movies that he first came out with. Well, Pusher 1, obviously. You would be shocked at the difference of what the Pusher style. It was like, it was so, and it was so bare bones, and they're such good fucking, all three of them are such good movies, dude. Unbelievable. Toppest recommendation. I don't know if I saw them last year or this year. Fantastic.
He needs to get back to that. He needs to get back to that.
He does. They made a remake of the first Pusher movie, and it's in England, so they're all like, it just looks like what your typical remake, a British remake of like a good foreign film. Because then you're like, oh, like I saw the trailer and I was like, no fucking way, I'm not gonna watch this. Because they even have one of the characters from the original film in that movie, like this the guy who's the boss in Copenhagen Cowboy, that big like dude. and it's just like, bruv, I'm gonna save it. And I was like, you can't pay me to watch this shit. No, thank you. Just go watch the original Pusher trilogy. It's fucking great. Great 3 movies. And I still like his stuff.
Yeah, me too, man. He's just, again, like you said, he's unleashed, and that's the problem. He's unleashed.
Even though the Twin Peaks, the return, the ending of that is very open ending, and you're like, what the fuck? But at least you're like, okay, that's it. That's what I expect.
Yeah, this is the difference between David Lynch and Nicholas Winding Refn, or whatever the fuck his name is, is that David Lynch, through all his shit, he keeps that narrative going, bro. Like, you understand what's happening.
With him. That's why he has Mark Frost writing.
I guess. But then you have this to the point of, like, even it all makes sense at the end. Yeah. Even if it still doesn't, you're like,
it wraps itself
up. It took me on a ride that and all the characters got to do what they needed to do, and that's not what Nicholas Winding Refn does. Nope. And he's just so much into this. He's just so much into the style, but then he likes to just leave everything so, like, open ended that he never explains shit. And it's like, bro, you're gonna have to eventually explain something. You're gonna have to do it, bro.
Because whenever you see interviews with him, you obviously see that he has a sense of humor, even though he kind of comes off as, like, strange guy. So he knows what he's doing. He's obviously fucking with people, and he's going, "This is my art. Just take it as you will." And sometimes, you can't get away with that forever. I'm a dope that'll like it. But
yeah, but these like streaming services, they're like, he's moving from one to one. Like, he's moving. He moved to Netflix. He went from Amazon Prime to Netflix, and now what's the next one? Because they're like,
none of them are gonna take his ass. Yeah, what else can they do? Fucking Fubo TV and shit. Anyway. I gotta say, before we get to the final, anything else you want to bring up?
No, man. I think I finished The Boys season 3, which was
great.
Last year or whatever.
I did I did watch the spinoff show, and I thought it was all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it has none of the personality of The Boys, so it's just like. It's just horny kids doing stuff, which is fine, if you want to see that. Mm-hmm. But not one of them has like the personality of even one character. Even the woman has more of a character than any of the characters in this show. The whatever the hell this shit is called, Project V or whatever it's called. And I was just Gen V, excuse me. And I was just like, all right, whatever. Just give me the fucking Boys season 4 already. Yeah. So I don't know.
Oh, one more movie that I watched. Was this movie called 13 Lives? I don't know if we spoke about this.
I know this name about
this. It's directed by Ron Howard. It actually came out.
Oh, okay.
It came out not last year. It came out in 2022 or something.
Right, that's the boys in the cave, right?
Right. And this was I remember when this really happened.
It's a Prime movie, right?
It's a Prime movie, but it's so well made, bro.
Oh, okay.
And Colin Farrell, Viggo Mortensen, and this one other person.
Right.
They play like these 3. They're called in because the story's amazing. These kids get like reined inside this cave, and then you're like, well, can't they just swim out? Mm-hmm. But then you realize that they really can, and so it goes through all the like machinations of like why they can't do it and what they have to do. Do you know about the story?
Yeah. That was it happened like 3 years previously before that movie came out.
Yeah. So pretty much they have to hire these like cave divers, and then they have to bring in a guy who does like who puts people what is it called, anesthesiologist?
Right.
Because apparently they have to put them under in order to take them out.
God, that's frightening.
Which is fucking crazy. So they have these guys. They have to get to them first, and then one by one they have to put them out.
So was it like a collapse of land on it, or they were crawling into some small corridor and then
they just got overfilled? Oh, it just got like they went through a cave. This like I don't know what it's called, Valley of Caves, and and they just stayed too long when the rain came, because it was what's the name of the season when it rains a lot, whatever. So over there it rained, like they knew that the rain was coming, but they just stayed too long. So by the time they were trying to get out, it was already overflowed. So the entrance was already underwater. So it's pretty much like you have to swim through caves, and they couldn't do it. So they had to get people to come in, and they had to train, and then they had to put them under. And there was like 12 kids, and luckily not one kid died. I think one person died though, like a safety person who was trying to save them.
There was some
but
story.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. It's a what?
It's an amazing film, bro.
Okay.
It's so well made. Ron Howard directed the shit out of it.
He's not a shabby director, man. Because you hear stories about that. Like, there was a guy, I forget what it's called. It's either the peanut butter jelly cave, something called jelly cave, where these people spelunk. It's like you go into tight surfaces, and this guy ended up upside down in a fucking crevice like that. And they couldn't get him out, so they just left him there. And you just like,
he died.
The hell do I need to do this shit
I'm not doing that.
Can't even get through some doorways myself.
But what's crazy, because it was monsoon season, that's what it was. So what's crazy is, like, these kids, they just finished, like, they were on a soccer team, and they just were like, oh, let's just go to, like, the cave where they go to is like a thing that you could just go. It's like, it was not even dangerous, but they just went at the wrong fucking time.
Jesus. So, I think it's always the wrong time, bro, to do that
shit.
It
is. But it's a great movie. It's a great movie that I watched, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. But anyway, go ahead.
That's good. So I just wanted to say before we cut things off of that, this was a difficult year for the Horror Deconstruction, because I essentially lost both my co-hosts, and I remember just on a whim I asked Deckard, I said, hey man, would you want to hop on and do the show, because Deckard and I always chat about cinema, among other things that bother us in life. But we do talk about cinema because we both have a deep appreciation for it, and Deckard is he's very knowledgeable. That's all I'll say without outing him. But he's very knowledgeable, and he's super smart on this stuff, and he always recommends me great films that I love watching, and I always love talking to him about it. So I really got to thank you, dude. Seriously, you saved my ass on the show, because I was in a dark moment. This is a show that I've been doing with my friends for like 12 years. Okay, nobody knows that. It's just a stupid, obscure show that nobody knows. But I do it because I like talking about movies, and I appreciate that you took your time out, and we did some of the best episodes for this series, I felt, in just discussing cinema. Sometimes we talk about disgusting stuff too, but discussing cinema, I think, has been like one of the highlights of the year for me, and obviously we'll continue doing that, even if it's not recorded or not, or it is. But I really appreciate that you came out and did this show, because I'm so glad and happy to have called you a co-host on this show, because it really meant a lot to me that you were just, you took your time out to talk, man. We would talk fucking for a long time, even hours before the show. And I really appreciate the time that you put into it. And I appreciate, and I'm sure everybody else that listens to the episode appreciate the knowledge that you brought forth. And a super great addition, and super chill dude. And you know your shit, and I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this show with me.
Yeah, man, of course.
I really appreciate it,
bro.
This is go ahead.
No, I'm happy to do it. Again, this is a way that you could exercise a lot of shit that you're going through, just to talk about stuff, especially movies. Like, I do it anyway when I'm not recording anything. It's why not just give a reason to talk about it. So
movies are the reflection of the fucking human condition, man. Movies are totally, not only just art, they're a needed distraction at times, but they're escapism. Okay, we're trying to learn stories and learn about the world. The world is fucked up. Okay, it seems to have just gotten tumbling worse, and I don't know if it'll ever get better. I doubt it'll ever get better, but at least we can go to a theater or watch it on a screen and fucking see a different story that doesn't remind us of the shit that we're going through right now because of whatever horse shit that we're going through with life. You know what I mean? Just because you disagree with people means you can sit in a fucking cinema with them and watch a movie about somebody else and enjoy it, you know, and you can escape and you can actually agree on something, whether you liked it or disliked it. And what does cinema mean to you?
I think first and foremost, it's an escape. It's an escape. The first thing, it's you know, you turn it on, whether it's a good movie in the beginning or whether it's a bad movie, but nevertheless, most of the time, they're solid, good movies that, you know, we get invested in, and that's what they are. They're escapism. They're ways to go into, to live other lives, to see things through other people's eyes. You know, most obviously the director, because it's a director's medium, but you get to see great performances. You get to see people. I think that's like the very basic of what it is, but then it goes into other things of why I like it, because then you start to see the artistic element in them, and then you sort of apply that to your own life and how you want to be as a filmmaker yourself. And then that's another part of it. Another part of it is just to completely just like do research on filmmaking. Like, there's different elements of why we watch movies or why I love movies. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just a straight up entertainment reason. Sometimes it's because I want to forget. Sometimes it's because I want to rewatch a scene that I love because I want to see how they did it. So there's a lot of things that go into it. You know what I mean? And that's how it's always been, I guess, for me. But yeah, it's just a way to I want to be told a good story. I want to see it visually, and I want to be invested in it. So,
well fucking said. Yeah. And with that, say thank you. Have a happy new year. Have a good life. You too, take care of yourself. Go watch a movie. Go take your friends. Go watch a movie. If you don't have any new friends, fuck them. Go watch a movie yourself. Enjoy a movie. And think on it and reflect. And try to make yourself a better person because of it. Fall in love. Don't fall in love. Who gives a fuck? But cinema is always out there to be your buddy. With that, Deckard, do you have one final word for me for 2023?
No, I really don't.
This has been
just
good.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing. I don't have anything.
I think that perfectly encapsulates 2023, honestly. And with that, this has been the Horror Deconstruction.